Thanks for attending this first online workshop of the European project AgroFossilFree. We hope that it's going to be interesting for you, and we encourage you to participate in the open discussion that will take place at the end of the workshop. We ask you to please turn off your microphone in case of some noises to not disturb. And during the workshop, we'll let you some time for questions or for some contributions. You can do it raising your hand, and will you participate by order. If you prefer, also you can write in the chat your questions or contribution, and we'll read for you.
Okay, so hello everyone. So we are going to start with a short game to know each other. Please take your phone or search in the internet the following site and enter the code 74015431, or just make a photo of the QR code. Once you enter, you will see everything in white, so we just wait a little bit and we will start now. Okay. So just two easy questions. From which country are you from? We want to know a little bit from you. Okay, Germany, Greece, Spain, Belgium, Netherlands, Italy. Okay, many countries.
Very international words.
Yeah. Okay.
Great.
Next one. In which field do you work? Farmer, extension service, research, advisor, industry. Okay, we have many from research and industry. Okay. Okay, very nice. Okay, thank you so much. So let's know something about the AgroFossilFree project. We are glad to introduce Dr. Thanos Palafoutis from THERMODRAFT, and he's the project coordinator. Hello, Thanos. Can you share your screen? Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for this organization, and thanks to everybody for being here to listen what we are doing. So I start straightforward with sharing my screen. Can you see my screen? Okay. So just a few words for the project itself. We took the initiative of this project due to the EU Green Deal that most of you might already know its main aspects, which are the no-net greenhouse gas emissions, sorry, also decoupling the economic growth from use of resources, and that we want in the European Union to leave nobody behind. So we are trying through the EU Green Deal to turn the climate and environmental challenges into opportunities and make a just and inclusive economy for all. So through this EU Green Deal, there are too many aspects that we want to deal with. In our case, we are dealing with a farm-to-fork strategy to have a healthy and environmentally friendly food system, and specifically in our case, the sustainable food production, where there are several aspects. Some of them are the development of renewable energy production in the primary sector, to enhance the circular bio-based economy, to have, of course, rational use of fertilizers and pesticides, try to use the soil as a carbon pool more than it is already, and reduce all the environmental impacts, especially in the livestock sector that produces a lot of emissions. So going to the project specifically, we replied to a call about defossilization agriculture by making a project that is called Strategies and Technologies to Achieve a European Fossil Energy Free Agriculture. We called the project AgroFossilFree. It is a 36-month project with any kind of actors through the multi-actor approach that they cover 16 partners from the European Union. So why we went into this project? Because we have a problem, which is that the open field crop production and control environment agricultural constructions, they all need a lot of energy, that they are today mostly covered from traditional energy sources, that they are mainly fossil. Of course, this made a very big contribution to the economy and the better living of people by increasing productivity and efficiency, also by reducing labor intensity and workers' fatigue. But it was not really considered that it has a big impact also in global warming potential by producing mainly greenhouse gas emissions from direct sources like livestock digestion or agricultural machinery themselves, or indirectly, which is also very important, from land use intensification and agricultural input application like fertilizers and pesticides, for example. So we come into some thought about the fact that we have a lot of renewable energy sources that up to today, in the last 20-25 years, it have really been used in many sectors like households, industry, transport, with a great result. Since 2000 we had 6% more or less of renewables, while in 2016 we managed to have about 15, and now we are reaching 20. So this means that it is a very good opportunity, but on the other hand, agriculture has not really applied these technologies in the same intensity as other sectors, mainly because people thought that it is not a main energy consumer, something that is not a reality, or a greenhouse gas emission producer, but also because for farmers, especially small farmers of the European Union, they had a high cost for them, and if you compare it with the low income and high prices for these people, this was a problem to adopt such technologies. So the problem solution that AgroFossilFree is proposing is the fact that since the market have growth and has reduced the prices significantly, but also since all the energy efficiency measures that can be applied in agriculture have been very mature anymore, we believe that now this is a more appealing technology framework for all sectors, including agriculture. And if you think the fact that agriculture has an important gap between these developments and the reality of the agricultural systems, we really need to reduce this gap by mainly gaining knowledge about it and adequate training on how to shift to the new systems. And if we do that, we can fully align with the fossil energy use reduction policies and go to a sustainable food production practice that we want to achieve in the near future. So we have made a term which is called fossil energy free technologies and strategies, and it comes into an acronym that it cannot be very well pronounced, but it's called FEFTS, and it contains the on-site renewable energy production systems, the energy efficiency and rational use of energy in agriculture, and as an auxiliary part, the soil carbon sequestration techniques. So for those that don't have a very big knowledge of this, renewable energy sources are many types, just a few are here, like biomass, biogas, solar systems, wind systems, hydro systems, geothermal, but also storage, since the fact that renewables are very good, but they have the problem that they cannot be producing electricity throughout the whole day. So storage is a very important aspect. As for the energy efficiency and rational use of energy in agriculture, there are too many things that we can show you, but just a few are like machinery use, field operations, irrigation, fertilizers for open field crops. In greenhouses, any kind of system that reduces the humidity, the heating and cooling energy needs, and so on. And also in livestock production, very close to greenhouses, many things are like this, but also the building envelope to reduce the energy consumption and others. So, and the third one, the auxiliary part, is the soil carbon sequestration. This is not an energy system, but through the practices that we follow in soil carbon sequestration, we can manage to reduce for sure the petroleum used from the machinery, but also we can compensate for CO2 that is produced from other activities in agriculture. So what the project is doing, and with this part I will close my short presentation, is that we do a research to assess the EU agricultural energy status. We have done this already. We have produced 2 papers in journals for anybody that wants to read them. But also we have done a large survey to farmers and experts to identify what are their needs and barriers that later on Vaso Kanaki will talk about. Then we have been working for knowledge, making an inventory of FEFTS, covering papers, scientific papers, projects, products, publications of any kind, training material, so that people can go into a certain platform that you will see just after my presentation, and get knowledge about this. We work on innovation through multi-actor networking and workshops like the one that we have today. We do regional workshops around the 8 countries of the project, but also we do online workshops and transnational workshops to find what are the opinions of people on the matters of AgroFossilFree. So all of this, they come into the AgEnergy platform that has a lot of information included also in our website to find any information that you want. And we finally, after all of this work, we will try to get back to the Commission with some policy and research recommendations and guidelines on how to move forward to the aspects of AgroFossilFree. So we have these 8 innovation hubs that you can see here: Spain, Denmark, Germany, Greece, the Netherlands, Ireland, Poland, and Italy. So we cover most geographical regions of Europe. And just to close, do we think that we can make a breakthrough this project? Of course, it is just one aspect of this theme, but we think that we could, if we work together to identify the needs and opportunities for all people, all stakeholders in this work. We need to collect all the FEFTS that will go to our platform in an understandable way for the farmers, so that it can be grasped. We have to disseminate a lot and build new ideas to be provided to the Commission. And as for all of you that you are here with us, we would like to urge you to participate in our workshops like today, and also go to the national ones if you have in your country. Register in our platform and assess our FEFTS, or register new FEFTS of your own from your industries, for example. Inform your network about our activities and give us your ideas in all aspects through the workshops to find new research paths and policies. So thank you very much, and let's move together towards a defossilized EU agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Thanos. I hope you all like the interesting presentation of him. And well, in case you know, he told you already, but you can follow us through the website or social media profiles or subscribing to the newsletter. We will share with you later on this information on the chat. Okay, I will. So now to understand a little bit more about what we do nowadays in the project, let me tell you a few words about the workshops we have already done or we are planning to do. Well, as Thanos explained us before, in AgroFossilFree there are 8 hubs. Each of them is organizing 3 regional workshops in each country. So each one of these workshops must be based on open field agriculture, greenhouses, or and livestock buildings. So what are these workshops for? We want to know more about the interest from our relevant stakeholders, get to know their needs, and come up with ideas from bringing FEFTS solutions into practice. We started already in November with the first one in Valencia, Spain, and these are the ones who that we have done already. These are the next ones in March, in April also. You have the information also in the AgroFossilFree website. And what about the online workshops like this one? We have to do, our goal is to make 3 online workshops. And this, well, they will help us to know how FEFTS could be adopted in the European agriculture and how to optimize the platform that we will present you later on. The next one will be in October, and after that, we will do the one in March. The one in October is right after the regional workshops. Okay, and now it's the turn of Konstantinos Vaipoulos, project manager of AgroFossilFree, and he's going to present us one of the most interesting outcomes of our project. So please, Konstantinos, I will close this. I think you are muted, Konstantinos.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Mirenzu. Do you see my screen clearly? Okay, yes. Perfect. As Mirenzu said, I'm the project manager of AgroFossilFree, and together we're gonna see how the AgEnergy platform works. So if we go to the website of our project, agrofossilfree.eu, as we can see, in the top menu bar, we can select Visit Platform, or we can type in a browser platform.agrofossilfree.eu, and we will be redirected in this page, the home page of the platform. So you can see in the menu bar on the top that we have the instructional video, browse FEFTS solutions, language, and login options. I will leave this one for the end of the presentation, and I will tell you that regarding the instructional video, you can have a link and see how this works. Okay, it is a short one, but it is very helpful. Soon we're gonna have a more detailed one and see how you can explore all the solutions inside. And returning back, oh, sorry, I closed that window again. Yeah, we can see that the platform refers to fossil energy-free technologies and strategies. But what type of these technologies and strategies? You can search either directly for commercial technologies or some scientific papers and research results that the main objective of this is these technologies and strategies. The other thing that you can search is a training material for these technologies and strategies or financing mechanisms. And you have 2 ways to do that. Either you can type a term of your interest and search, let's say I'm interested in geothermal energy, And then I will have some solutions, but they are mixed papers, mixed research projects, commercial technologies, materials, and mechanisms. Or I can create a path as in the most search engines. So let's say I would like to search for a research project. And then what type of research project? About energy efficiency improvement. This is an example, of course. And the specific type of energy efficiency that I'm interested in is efficient vehicles. As I can see, there are already two options in my platform, and I can select. As we saw before, these are the filters, and you can select more options here. And with this button, as we will see next, we can go directly through these filters. Let's say I want to see the Biomed 2020. You can have a short description about this project and have some information about it. The first is the type. It is about energy efficiency improvement and specifically for efficient vehicles. And the special type of this project objective is biomethane usage as fuels for vehicles. The agricultural domain is all the three domains of agriculture, and it is suitable for farmers, policymakers, and companies. This project, okay, the project results, of course. The specific applications, again, we can see it is for vehicles and biomethane tractors, and it is a methodology, procedure, and complete solution. In the next tab, you can see the provider source of this project. The acronym is Biomed 2020, and it is a national one. We have some information about the coordinator. It is from Finland, and you can see it in this icon too, and the contact details, additional info, and of course, an official website of this project where you can have more information. At the next tab, you can see that there are relevant materials like PDFs with more information about the project, where you can use it and read it. I will not wait for this to open, but you can understand that it is a PDF. And at the end, you can see that we have the assessment button. And this is very important. You can see that we provide a 10-question assessment that it is split in 3 different categories: a general assessment at first, an environmental following, and a socio-economic at the end. We use a Likert scale of 5 levels. And let's say the first question is, this FEFTS contributes to improve the energy profiles of farming systems. The answer is that we agree. This is an answer that our consortium has provided, but all the users, the registered users of the platform, can evaluate these FEFTS too. And I will show you next how you can do that. But let's return back to the platform. I will be back at home, and I can show you another example about searching a FEFTS. You can browse FEFTS directly from this button, and you can customize your filters as you like. Let's say I'm interested in a commercial technology, and the solution type would be hardware and complete solution, not software one or something else. With usage in open field agriculture and maybe in greenhouses. The main agricultural application that I'm interested in, it is to provide energy, and specifically electricity. About the FEFTS type, I'm interested in clean energy supply, and more specifically in production systems. Following, I can select if I'm going to search about the renewable energy source that is used, the energy that is produced by this system, or the technology that is used. Let's say I'm interested in renewable energy source. And then I can select the energy source that I'm interested in. And let's say solar. I have some examples. Let's see, we have 20 FEFTS here, 10 in this page and another 10 in the next. And I will randomly select this one. It is a solar glass from BRITE. As we can see, this is the photo gallery and a short description and all the specifications of this. Let's say for the specific one, it is, as we said, for energy production. The technology used is photovoltaics, about agri-PV systems, especially. the produced energy is electricity, and it is about it provides DC power. So DC because there's no any inverter in this together. Agricultural domain, it is about open field agriculture and greenhouses as we selected, and it can be used by farmers, producers, associations, energy generators, companies, and industry. This is another categorization too about the applications is to provide energy either for your environment and your activities or to sell it in the grid. It is a hardware, of course, and we can see that the provider is BRITE. This is the official name, the address of this company, and the company size. Another relevant sites that you can use to inform further, some additional info, and of course, visit the official website where you can get more information. This is the concept of AgroFossilFree in general, to give you a first view about what you can see, what you can find about defossilization solutions, not provide you all the information, of course. About the material, you can see there are PDFs, there are relevant videos. If I click one, you can see that there is some very interesting videos about this technology. I won't continue with this. And of course, the assessment, as we said before. So how we can assess? To assess, we have to be registered users. If we are, we just type our credentials. If we are not, we're going to register. Okay, I'm going to be, I'm going to access. And then, as we can see now, I have an icon here where I can see my profile, my FEFTS. This is the FEFTS that I have uploaded because as a registered user, I can upload any FEFTS that I want, let's say scientific papers or commercial technologies or some training materials, or add new FEFTS. How I can add new FEFTS? I can click this button and starting to selecting all the relevant options, like the title of this, the information type. Is it a commercial technology? Is it a paper? What is the national language? To provide a short description, some keywords from a pre-selected list, the official website, and some other. To determine the provider, the material, some images and some files and some image links, and then go to assess. As you can see, if I return back and go to the same FEFTS, this one, in the assessment, there is a very clear button here, give your evaluation, where you can provide your evaluation. All registered users are asked to evaluate each FEFTS, and when an adequate number of reviews is gathered, the results depicted here are updated. So this is the concept that users can evaluate all the FEFTS. In another way, you can search from the search bar, as we said, but it is about the user's preferences, how he should continue with that. Last but not least, the languages that we can use is 7, because in the AgroFossilFree project we have 8 hubs. One is from Ireland, so we have Polish, Spanish, Italian, Danish, German, and Dutch as options about the platform. So this is from my side. I hope that you all understand how easy it is to go inside the platform and search for FEFTS or upload FEFTS or assess them. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Konstantinos. I think it's a very good explanation of this tool. I hope you have found very interesting, and we encourage all of you to visit the platform and also to register your FEFTS in case you have. So now let's give the floor to our colleagues Alex Koutsouris and Vasily Kanaki from the Agricultural University of Athens, a partner of this project, who are going to present us interesting results about the farmers' needs. Hello, Alex. Hello, Vasu.
Hello. Alex has a meeting right now, so I'm going to present the results. So I'm going to share my screen. Moment. So can you see my full screen? Okay. Perfect. So in this presentation, we are going to talk about a part of the results of work package 1. One of the main goals was to identify factors which affect the adoption of innovation and diffusion of FEFTS. And more specifically, on task 1.3, we explored farmers' needs and interests on FEFTS adoption. So today I'm going to present you the main results of this research. So, as mentioned, the goal was to explore farmers' needs and interests about FEFTS. So for that reason, we conducted farmers and experts interviews. We interviewed 470 farmers in total in all AFF countries' hubs. And also we interviewed 41 experts with focus mainly on advisors. We ensured that adopters and non-adopters of FEFTS, I'm talking about farmers, are included and are equally represented in the sample. So, as mentioned before, we covered all production systems, meaning that we had open field crop production, such as farmers with arable or permanent land, greenhouses and livestock production, all kinds, all sectors. And we had a few cases with mixed systems. As mentioned by Thanos before, FEFTS are divided into two main categories. First is the clean energy production, and we examine the adoption of renewables on farm. And secondly, we examine the adoption of energy-saving technologies and practices. Finally, as an auxiliary method, we also examine the adoption of soil carbon sequestration practices. So, as a FEFTS adopter, we define the person, a farmer, who uses either renewables or energy efficiency technologies and practices, or both. This is our sampling approach. According to grant agreement, the sample comprised of 50 to 60 farmers per country. We try to equally distribute plant and animal production and have equal numbers of adopters and non-adopters in each category. And I'm going to briefly mention some of the sample features so we can have an overview of our sample. Sample was mainly men, between 40 and 60 years old, with a medium to good educational level, meaning that over 50% had the technical education, 25% of the sample holds a green certificate, meaning that they have a full agricultural education. 75% are users of internet on daily basis, and this is mostly true for countries in Denmark, Netherlands, and Spain. Almost half of them have very good or excellent digital skills, and this is mostly true for farmers in Netherlands, Denmark, Germany, and Poland. But on the other hand, we noticed that 18% of Greek and 11% of Spanish farmers, they claim to be digitally illiterate. Half of them had the certification scheme, and almost 1/3 of them was engaged in on-farm non-agricultural activities, such as packaging and processing. And this is important for our results because these activities many times are energy consuming. So the higher engagement was in Germany and Spain. Farms were mostly of medium farm size. Family farms, the majority of them, 50% had identified the farm successor. And here I would like to highlight that the 66% of Greek and 62% of Spanish farmers have not identified a successor. And this is important when we deal with farm future investments, and especially in the long term, or with issues such as land abandonment. Also, we found that in mixed systems, succession is higher. 53% of the sample is engaged in some kind of modernization scheme, meaning that they receive subsidies from CAP Pillar 2, and 27% receives subsidies related specifically to renewables or to energy efficiency measures. This was mostly true for countries such as Germany, Netherlands, and Italy. And in all other countries, less than 20% of the farmers had received such subsidies. So the majority of farmers had heard at least about one kind of FEFT, renewable or energy efficiency. Most important sources of information for FEFTS awareness were firstly internet, followed by advisory and extension services and technical press, but also an important role in raising farmers' awareness play other farmers, peers, and manufacturers. So, as mentioned in the previous presentation, we had 6 renewable categories. The most, I'm talking about the adoption of adopters of RES. Solar energy was found to be by far the most adopted renewable on farm, followed by biomass, biofuels or biogas, and by heat pumps. The most important use of energy produced on farm by renewables, as you can see on the diagram, is for heating and cooling of buildings, for lighting, and for selling energy to external consumers. So moving to energy efficiency categories, we had efficient buildings, efficient tools, vehicles, precision agriculture, and conservation agriculture. Most highly adopted energy efficiency technologies were for open field farms, firstly conservation practices, followed by precision agriculture and energy efficient tools. For greenhouses, efficient buildings prevail, followed by the precision agriculture and energy efficient tools. And in livestock sector, we had efficient buildings also prevail, followed by the tools, and finally the precision livestock. Adopters were asked about the main motivation for adoption, and similarly, non-adopters were asked about the main reason for non-adoption. According to our farmers, the main motivation is the reduction of energy cost. Reduction of environmental impact was also important, but as a secondary reason, price for those that sell energy to external consumers, compliance with regulations, other financial incentives, and finally being an innovator or being a good steward of the countryside. On the other hand, the main reason for the non-adoption was affordability, high installation, high upfront costs, the perception that the best fitting technology tailored to the farm is not available yet, and the non-compatibility of the technology or the practice with farms' existing technology. Complicated procedures are also very important, meaning that heavy bureaucracy or slow procedures for licensing and permissions, lack of time to search, and small farm size. It's interesting to notice that 2 out of 3 RES adopters said that the specific subsidy gave them the opportunity to invest. On the other hand, only 1 out of 3 adopters of energy efficiency technologies said that they received such a subsidy. So, most important source of information that non-adopters would trust before they decide to buy FEFTS was found to be firstly a cost-benefit analysis tailored to the farm, demonstrations, conversations with official contacts such as advisors, and results on other farms, and see other farmers use these technologies. Also, non-adopters said that they could use such technologies if they could get a subsidy, but combined with the relevant training. Finally, as mentioned, we had 4 main categories of soil carbon sequestration practices: manuring and organic fertilizing, crop residue management, conservation tillage, and crop rotation. 3 out of 4 farmers were users of these practices. The main motivation to use these practices was the reduction of environmental impact of farming, also being a good steward of the countryside and reduction of energy costs. Utilization of farm byproducts was also very important, especially when we are talking about mixed farms, livestock, for example, and open field crop production, and compliance with the regulations. On the other hand, for the non-users, the main reason for the non-use is the perception that they don't have the best fitting practice tailored to their farm, and the compatibility of practices with their farms, small farm size, affordability, the perception that they will not see future benefits out of the use of this practice, complicated procedures, and the lack of time. And finally, the majority of users said that they did not use external subsidies for applying such practices. So we found some statistically important differences between adopters and non-adopters, and adopters are more likely to differ, firstly, in farmer characteristics, meaning that they tend to have better education, general and agricultural. They have better digital skills, and they are more frequent users of internet. They're full-time farmers, more dependent on agriculture, more satisfied from farming. They have less years of experience in farming, and this maybe is correlated with the resistance to change. They have identified a successor, and they participate more in collectivities. Also, adopters differ in terms of farm characteristics. They tend to be bigger farms, non-family farms. They have more added value or diversification activities on farms, such as packaging or processing or agrotourism. And as we mentioned before, these activities usually are energy consuming, and they participate more in Pillar 2 projects, such as farm modernization schemes. And only for energy efficiency technologies, we found differences in production systems, meaning that we had more adopters in mixed systems than livestock than plant production. Also, adopters differ in terms of information seeking on innovations. They visit agricultural fairs more often, or field days or demonstrations. And also, they differ in farmers' innovativeness and experimentation. They are keener to experiment on farms. They tend to be the first to know and buy new technologies, and they have different attitudes in risk-taking behavior, meaning that they are not afraid of taking risks. Finally, for soil carbon sequestration practices, we have found similar trends, with the exception that adopters were younger. So, all farmers were asked about the incentives they would like to see in future policies in order to facilitate FEFTS adoption. The majority of them asked for some kind of financial support in the form mainly of subsidies and grants for the initial capital investment, which aim to make these investments viable. 1 out of 4 asked for less bureaucracy, for faster, less complicated and more transparent procedures. Also, they ask for better policies, meaning the policies should be reliable in the long term, for easy access to accurate and reliable information, including demonstrations in real farm conditions, peer-to-peer experiences exchanges and cost-benefit analysis tailored to the farm. And also farmers ask for training on these technologies. I forgot to mention that the financial support is very important for small and medium farms. As mentioned before, we also interviewed experts and mainly advisors, agricultural advisors. Experts highlight a lot the importance of policies. So these are the policy mix characteristics for the successful FEFTS adoption. Policies need to be reliable in the long term. If they change often, this creates insecurity to farmers. They need to provide sufficient financial incentives so the investment will prove profitable. They need to take care of dissemination of reliable information, and we need to include more extension services and training services to farmers, and definitely to avoid cumbersome and complicated procedures. All farmers and experts agree that the main driver for the adoption is the economic advantage, expressed either by the reduction of energy cost or by the profit increase by energy sales to external consumers. The main barrier is the high upfront installation costs, plus the fact that depending on the technology that we will use, these might be long-term investments, meaning that the payback period of the investment might take a long time. So we need to financially support farmers, especially small and medium farms, and also to provide the relevant training because subsidy is not enough. So we extracted 5 major needs out of these interviews from farmer and expert interviews. The first need is the financial support for the initial investment. Then it's necessary, I'm not talking about subsidies and grants, but also making farmers able to afford these investments, meaning, for example, better prices for their products. The second need, and of course, it's important to put a lot of emphasis on small and medium farms because they are in weakest position than other farms. Second is the need to have less bureaucracy, less complicated procedures, and more simplified regulations. Third need is policies. We need reliable policies in the long term, not to change, for example, when governments change, because this creates insecurity, and take into account the real farmers' needs. The fourth need is to have and to provide farmers with information and training, but I'm talking about easy access to accurate and reliable information. This also could include demonstrations and tests in real farm conditions, peer-to-peer exchanges, and cost-benefit analysis and targeted advisory. And the fifth need is we need to bring closer the stakeholders, the actors of AKIS network. AKIS is the acronym for Agricultural Knowledge and Innovation System, meaning that we need to try to bridge the gap between research, industry solutions, advisory, and farmers. Thank you. That was all from me.
Thank you very much, Basil, for this interesting presentation. I found very, very complete and detailed. And now we would like to know the opinion of all of yours about the topics our colleagues have presented. So please take again your phone and go to, or your personal computer and go internet to the Menti.
You can just refresh the page also. Your mobile phone. Okay, we start. Do you consider that the use of the AgEnergy platform will be useful for your work or life? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Next one. So will you register in our platform to upload the FEFTS or access existing FEFTS? Yeah. Okay.
Just to remind you, if you're gonna be registered users. You can upload FEFTS, and I think that it would be a very nice experience if you just registering in our platform. It's a very nice opportunity if you do it right now for the ones that are interested or they are thinking about it.
Great. Thank you, Konstantinos. Okay. Okay, please rank the following needs to be addressed regarding energy in farming. So you can just put from 0 to 10. 10 is the best one, 0 is the lowest one. You can just rank it. Yeah, we see that the most important one is the financial support. Okay.
It's very aligned with the results of the research that Basil has explained before.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Next one. What will be your reasons for adopting FEFTS? You can select up to 3. Being an innovator, save money through the reduction of FEFTS.
Could you please give us a little more time in this question because it takes more.
Yeah. So we see the majority thinks that it saves money through the reduction of energy cost and reducing environmental impact. Okay.
Okay, can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I have a little bit of an issue with the compliance with regulations question, because I mean that's a no-brainer. I mean, I don't think we should indicate that people would consider not complying with regulations. I understand it's in the priority list, but it gives the impression this is an option, and it's not an option.
Jerome, you are completely right. The only reason I think that this answer is here is just to see if it is the main driver is that we have a regulation and we need to comply with it, or it is because we really wanted to do that, not that we will never not comply with the regulations, of course.
That if I was an authority in charge of market surveillance, I would use that slide to start a major campaign in farms. Maybe that's what we want.
Okay, thank you, Jerome. We go to the next one. For which of the following on-farm energy production technologies are you more interested about? We have the solar, wind turbines, biomass, biogas, biofuels, heat pumps. Okay. So the solar one and biomass are the winners, as you can see now.
It's interesting that wind turbines and hydro are not receiving any response.
Yeah.
Because we also, when we do the FEFTS introduction into the platform, it is very difficult to find these two technology types to be introduced. So maybe they are mainly for larger industrial or other applications.
Okay, we go to the next one. For which of the following on-farm energy efficiency strategies are you more interested about? Efficient yes. This one is very interesting for us in order to organize the next online workshop. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. So please rank the following farming practices according to your preferences. It's like the one before. You have to rank each of the answers. Okay.
This question is pretty balanced, which is the truth, because if you want to have soil carbon sequestration, you really need all these four aspects. And it seems that people here in this audience, they also believe more or less the same.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So the last one, what is the main source through which you learned about the project AgroFossilFree? You just have to select the one. Okay. 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 So that was all. Thank you. So let's go now to the last part of this workshop. We are very happy to present the next invitees that are going to show us 3 different technologies that are used in agriculture. Anyone who has a question during these presentations, please put it on the chat, the question, or raise your hand and we wait until the end of the presentations and we will give you the floor. Okay, so first of all, we are glad to introduce Leo van Stilfried, Director Product Manager in EFCO Corporation, a company that designs, manufactures and distributes agricultural solutions. So Leo, please, do you want me to share your presentation or you do it?
Yes, please share.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so welcome also from my side. And I would like to give a brief introduction of our battery electric tractor that we are currently working on and give you an update on where we are with that. But before that, I for sure would like to open the discussion a little bit, because it's not only the CO2 footprint that we have to look at from the agronomy side. We also have to look on the productivity. So very simple. Battery electric vehicles very often are a cause of inconvenience. I'm an e-car driver myself, so I very well understand what it takes to go a long distance haul with drive. But in ag, we are not talking about inconvenience, we are talking more about loss of opportunity. So we have really to understand how is farming practice different using different fuels than what we have today. Next slide. So there's four main energy options I see going forward. It's for sure the electric drive that I'm going to talk a little bit more. There's a lot of going on in hydrogen. We have the H2 project here in Germany with a hydrogen tractor that we are going to deliver to test and understand that one. There's biomethane, be it liquid, be it gas, tests underway. And of course, synfuel is also an option that we have to discuss. And for the selection of which energy options really comes into play, a lot is needed also from the society having a decision. Are we talking well-to-wheel, tank-to-wheel, CO2 reduction, CO2 free? Next slide. So electricity, why have we selected what we did? So we are focusing on our smallest version of a machine, the 100 series coming in below, because energy density and the capability to work a work day is very critical. So when we think about the big tractors with 280 horsepower or something like that, we talk about a battery size of 12 tons, which is more than the tractor empty weight is today. And it's also a packaging, a huge challenge, pure dimensionally to pack a battery like that. With the small ends, we come into the same space claims like an engine. So we have here the opportunity to migrate in the technology. And that's the reason why we selected this, the lower end. And we see a big market also for other areas working closer to farms, etc. So that is kind of where we see the lead into that technology. Next slide. So what do we see here? First of all, it's a 70 horsepower tractor that must perform the task of the tractor of this size class. So this is very important to understand. There's a reason for the farmer to have a tractor, and that is not to drive the tractor, but to do a certain operation. So the operation needs to be done. And secondly, what you see here is an environmental friendly tractor that reduces the CO2 footprint in use in the operation. The driveline is consisting out of a 50 kilowatt e-motor, CVT, continuous variable transmission, same structure. Than what we have, so he can use that tractor in his today's operation. This is also very important. So there's no adaptation necessary for his today's operation. He can bring that tractor in, replace an existing one, test it, try it, and see how it works for him for his operation. It has a 700 volt, 100 kilowatts hour battery, and it's charging with 22 kilowatts AC onboard, or a DC option is also available to get the experience. Next slide, please. This is where we do the tests, and this is one of the most critical elements in this whole discussion and project that we are running currently. It's one thing technically to make a tractor with a battery. This is a task that can be done, can be performed. That is not the tricky element. The tricky element is it needs to work. So we do a wide range of tests in field to better understand together with the farmers how a tractor like this can operate, how it works in a certain environment. And if the tractor is fit for the job, or if there's other elements that we have to consider. So we do these intense field tests right now. We have a series of tractors in the field and collecting this information, because that is very important going forward when we take more decisions on the technology like this. Next slide. So, quick summary, sustainability and productivity is the main challenge for agriculture. So we have both elements put together. It's not only sustainability, but it includes also the productivity. It doesn't help being CO2 emission free in Europe, but import the grains from other areas in the world, because then the total balance is not improving. We have to be also productive so that we can feed the people, that we have enough to eat. That's a key task also to accomplish. Zero emission technology is for sure required going forward to achieve the CO2 targets that we have all agreed on. And that is something we work as industry very hard for. The battery electric tractor can contribute to this sustainability and the zero emissions quite big time, especially in these smaller range tractors. Going forward, there will be no single energy solution from my perspective. It will be a more diverse energy solution. In the past, we had the diesel fuel, quite easy to handle. Going forward, on a farm, there will be various options depending on the region, depending on the farm, depending on the application. So it will be more customized to the farm operation. And of course, electrification is the driving force also when we talk about a smart farming solution. There is a lot of things that we can do very nice with electric driven machines, and that will open another area to work on. That's as a very brief 5-minute introduction on the project, where we are right now, what we are looking for, and our main challenges that we are currently trying to find answers for. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And now is the turn of Apostolo Kuntas, a research engineer at THERMODRAFT. It's a spin-off of the University Agricultural of Athens. Apostolos is going to present an energy saving solution using livestock. Please, Apostolos.
Hello, everybody. Give me a sec to share my screen.
Yeah.
You see it now?
Yeah, perfect.
Fine. So I'm going to present ThermoDraft solutions towards sustainability in livestock buildings control climate. A few words about us. We are a spin-off company of the Agricultural University of Athens. The company is founded in 2021, but has all the previous knowledge from AUA and industrial partners. The main R&D activities are heat to power applications with advanced ORC engines, high temperature heat pumps, supplying heat up to 130 degrees C, heat transfer solutions for industrial applications such as specifically designed heat exchangers and precise control of agricultural buildings, all of them in the direction of carbon emissions reduction, suitable for the user needs. So some applications that the products can be applied are the heat to power engines that convert wasted energy into clean electricity, taking advantage of exhaust gases or engines cooling water, such as biomass or biogas power plants, marine wasted heat from industrial applications or RES technologies, all of them in the temperature range of 80 to 150 degrees C, with power generation of 20 to 300 electrical kilowatt. And also the heat pumps in the range of thermal capacity of 25 to 500 thermal kilowatts. So what is a heat pump? It is a system that can be used in order to provide heating, cooling, or dehumidifying in a space by exploiting a heat thermal source. Nowadays, there are machines that are available for space heating only, heating and cooling, cooling only, or heating and dehumidifying. There are different types of heat pumps, like air-to-air or air-to-water heat pumps, where the heat pump draws energy from outside air to heat the internal air or making hot water about 35 to 50 degrees C, or water-to-water heat pumps, where the heat pump draws energy from water to make hotter water of about 35 degrees C. Below you can see the two different types. The main difference is the condenser that they use, and the air-to-air heat pump has to place somewhere outside the air cooler. So what are the heat pump's advantages towards sustainability? First of all, is the efficiency that a heat pump presents. It is expressed in the COP value, coefficient of performance, which indicates how much electricity is needed in order to generate thermal energy. Moreover, the eco-friendly refrigerants that are in use. Nowadays, there is a need for low GWP, global warming potential, and zero ODP refrigerants. Moreover, heat pumps need very limited maintenance, while they are considered an RES technology, so no on-site emissions exist. In the graph at the right place of the slide, you can see the kilograms of emissions that are that exist for different technologies, like oil boiler or gas boiler, presenting much higher emissions compared to heat pumps, especially the ones that present high COP or can be combined with green technologies. Regarding the cost, a heat pump installation, when it is well dimensioned, can lead to a heating cost saving about 50 or 60% compared to a gas-fired installation, while the manufacturing cost is about 300 to 600 euros per thermal kilowatt. But it can vary depending on the size of the heat pump, the specific characteristics, the type of the heat pump, or the ambient conditions. So regarding the livestock buildings, there is a need for precise control of air temperature and relative humidity. The heat pump ensures the required conditions in a space by transferring thermal energy from a cool space to a warmer space, consuming electricity. The heat pump ensures constant climate, improved animal performance. The energy saving can be up to 60% compared to a conventional livestock building solution, especially when it is combined with free energy sources like ground, solar, or air. And a complete control over the animal production conditions can be applied. you can see that depending on the needs of the farmer, like swine farms or poultry farms for eggs or meat production, different needs can exist. So a heat pump can supply heat for floor heating, air heaters, or domestic hot water. Finally, you can see a heat pump example coupled with solar panels for heating of a swine farm. It was designed and manufactured for the Rest for Life project. This design is for heating operation. Dehumidification is not possible with this design. There is a water-to-water heat pump system with a compact design due to limited space. You can see two circuits, one high temperature that provides heat to air heaters about 62 degrees C and domestic hot water, and another medium temperature heat pump circuit with a much higher COP around 5, which is considered relatively high, which provides heat to floor heating with 45 degrees C. As you can see, the sources are the air, the ambient air, using a dry cooler, and the solar energy using solar panels. So this is from me.
Thank you very much, Apostolos. Okay, so now we'll have the last speech by the hand of Spiros Boussios, project manager at BRITE Solar or BRITE Solar, a company specialized in solar glass technology. So your turn.
Yes, hello everyone. Let me share also my screen. Just a moment. Is it visible for everyone? Okay, very well. Good morning to everyone. Thank you to the organizers for the invitation to this interesting workshop. My name is Spiros Boussios and I work for BRITE. We are a developer and producer of glass products with energy generation and energy conservation applications, different products for different applications, of course. For this presentation today, the focus will be on the energy production side, the energy generation side, where we are one of the front runners worldwide in the development of semi-transparent photovoltaic modules, solar modules, applying in their development also our strong background in nanomaterials. We are a Greek company, but we're also present in the Netherlands and in California in the United States. Now, the background for this presentation is shaped by a couple of major trends with regard, on the one hand, to agriculture and on the other hand, to energy generation. In agriculture, we see an increasing pressure due to climate change, which causes weather-related losses for the farmers, water availability issues, and increases costs for crop protection measures against these influences, which come next, of course, to the already high costs for energy or other agricultural supplies. On the energy side, meanwhile, we see that the massive expansion of renewable energy generation that is necessary for achieving ambitious climate-related goals creates problems of land use competition and also issues of social acceptance for large-scale renewable energy projects. So one interesting solution to these challenges comes in the form of agri-PV, agri-photovoltaic systems, which in a nutshell can replace the dilemma energy or agriculture on a given piece of land with a possibility to have both of them at the same time. We're working on this concept on two directions, as you can see in the pictures. One is greenhouses, protected agriculture, and the other is the open-air cultivation of crops under agri-PV covers, which can also have a crop protection function. In order to give some perspective, let's say, about the potential of agrivoltaics, agri-PV, I chose to show you here a very basic back of the envelope, let's say, scenario about the Greek situation, the Greek agriculture. If we implemented agri-PV systems on just 5% of the area used in Greece for the cultivation of fruit and for viticulture, only these two, then we would be able to have an electricity production 5 times larger than the total solar energy production in Greece in 2020, and about double the combined solar and wind electricity production in Greece in the same year. So as you see, the benefits to be reaped are definitely great or interesting in any case. But in order to be able to reap those benefits, we have to address some basic questions. First of all, it's the question of the agronomic perspective. Can it be done? Installing such a system would mean taking some light away from the crops, a partial shading of them, and we're working as a common on minimizing this light loss. But at the same time, it would offer crop protection against weather-related losses, so there is a balance to be found. The farmer in the end must have no negative impacts on his crop yields, and ideally, and it is what we are trying to achieve, he should be able to improve his crop yields through the installation of an agri-PV system with a protective function. The second issue to address is the economic feasibility of the concept. When we are talking about an agri-PV system with a size, let's say, of 5 or 10 megawatts in a farm, there's the question who will be the investor in this, how the investor, the farmer, and potentially other stakeholders involved, how they will all benefit from it, and how will everyone in the end make an attractive profit, because otherwise there will be, of course, no practical potential for the deployment. So there is a question of shaping the right business cases for the introduction of agri-PV. And last but definitely not least, is the regulatory and the social perspective. In agri-PV, we are influenced by a range of policies, going from land use policies to building permits that we need in order to install such systems, and which may be completely different in different jurisdictions. And of course, also there's the question of policy support for such a concept. And by policy support, we don't necessarily mean in the form of subsidies, economic support, but there are also other policy measures. For example, in the case of the Netherlands, where we have a move towards pretty much effectively banning single land use renewable energy concepts or projects, sorry, which would effectively support multiple land use forms of renewable energy generation, such as agri-PV. Policies are, of course, most of the times connected to the social acceptance of a concept. So whether the people would like or would accept to see something like that being installed next to their home or not. And this is something that we expect to be a strong point of agri-PV compared to other possibilities. For example, in the case of Greece, we have very strong debates around the expansion of wind farms and where these should be installed. And we believe that if you offer the possibility of agri-PVs to generate the same amount of energy, people would be much more susceptible to that. Closing this necessarily very short introduction to agri-PV, I would like to mention that our company, besides developing the specialized products necessary for agri-PV applications, we are also involved in a wider, let's say, an active approach to this topic. We are involved in demonstration projects on the field, cooperating with farmers, with researchers, with renewable energy project developers and energy producers. And together with such parties, but also with other stakeholders, such as, for example, policymakers, we are cooperating to find the answers to the 3 main questions I presented before. And our view is that these answers can be found only through the formation of partnerships, combined work. I would like also to urge you, if there is interest for the development of agri-PV also among the participants today, feel free to contact me. and discuss the possibilities. And once again, thank you to the organizers for this invitation.
Thank you, Spiros, and thank you all the speakers of this online workshop. And now we'll start a time for open discussion. So please raise your hand when you want to talk, or write your questions or contributions or comments in the chat.
Yeah, Thanos, please.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the floor. First of all, I also would like to thank a lot our presenters, because the three technologies presented are high-end technologies in the themes of AgroFossilFree. I would like to give some questions. I don't know. I have a lot in my mind. I don't know. I don't want to only talk in this discussion, but going to the case of FEND, I have seen that you are talking about a regular transmission of the tractor. Would you consider also to have a direct drive with motors on the wheels, or not?
In principle, of course, we consider, but there's actually some constraints we give in the project, and one is also to be cost-wise reasonable. Please do not forget, there's a lot of other power sources that are driven off the tractors, be it PTO, be it hydraulic pumps, and those would need all electric motors, separate electric motors, making the installation quite difficult and also very, very costly for the customers, because today it's derived from one source and distributed existing, and it's easy to integrate. Yeah, so yes, we do consider it, but it's going forward. The e-motor is still a cost impact that we want to go to avoid, and not install 5 e-motors on that, 5 or 6 e-motors on that tractor to power front, rear PTOs, front, rear wheels, hydraulic pump, etc.
Yeah, and thank you very much. You know, a question that could be also for not for the near future, but for the long run, might be that implements, if they are electrified, then the problem of giving power to PTO or all of this, then you would solve this problem as well.
Yeah, of course, but things need to develop, and we want to integrate into the today's farm. We don't want the farmer to be forced to buy new implements, new, just to get the tractor rolling. We said we want to be as streamlined into his today's operation, and when we go from there, of course, other things will develop, and maybe PTO will not have the role anymore going forward. But for the first step, we said keep it to today's environment, because then usability is maximum.
Thank you. I have more questions, but I prefer that other people ask you some things as well. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you both. We have Matt who wants to talk.
Yes, hello. Hi. Yeah, thank you. I would like to have a follow-up question for Leonard as well about electric tractors. My question is, with expected advancements in battery technologies and considering the drawbacks with the battery density for larger tractors that you mentioned, do you see real practical possibilities for the large-scale adoption of larger electric tractors in open field agriculture in the coming 10 years, let's say, or would the time frame for these larger tractors be longer?
Key question from my perspective is what do you envision as a larger tractor? What I for sure envision is that we see battery technology evolving in the course of the next 10 years. There's big investments done right now, and I'm quite sure that we will see in the next couple of years evolutions that are significant. It's not increments. It's really significant. So yes, I personally believe that we can go bigger than 70 horse. Will we be able to go to, say, the 380 or 280 horse in 10 years? I would say question, but more than 70, I'm quite sure. And I also think that way of operation will change and compensating for the big size.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Okay, thank you. We have Michael. Hello.
Yes. Hi, my name is Mikael Naumann from Aarhus University. I was just wondering, I mean, you jumped directly from taking out the diesel engine and put in electrical. Have you ever considered some kind of hybrid system for tractors? I mean, when we are looking at the car, when I'm looking at the required horsepower when driving a tractor, there's a huge difference when you're driving with an empty trailer on the road or on the field, doing light work with a tractor, and then suddenly you put something deep harrow into the soil, then you really need a lot of power. Have you ever considered some kind of a hybrid system for your tractor, so you still have a diesel engine, but it can be shut off when it's not really necessary?
Yes, and I would we have, and it's actually also on the emission regulation coming years that something like that might be necessary. What we really want to understand is where can we actually use it and better understand the e-power in operation and go from there. Because the hybrids on cars, usually the plug is never unwrapped when the car is delivered, because most people don't drive hybrid. They just take the advantage subsidies and don't use it. And I personally don't think that's a good strategy. So yes, we taking the full distance, understand it, bring it into the market, and as you said, in certain applications it may make sense. On the other hand, it's also adding a lot of complexity that we see on hybrid car manufacturers. A lot of them say we never should have gone down that route with the hybrid. We should have gone straight to electric. We would be much better off, because with hybrid you have emission technology and electricity, so you double your complexity. So it might come, but I would hope that we can become smarter instead of just doing the same differently.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one question for Apostolos. With which renewable energy technologies could the heat pumps work together? Apostolos.
Thank you, Mirenzo. Actually, as you have already seen in the example that we have already designed, the heat pumps can be coupled with solar panels, with geothermal energy, and also, of course, with air. There are many designs and many applications that we have already designed these systems, presenting much better COP performance from compared to conventional solutions.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if anyone. Janos?
Yeah, just a short question on how much of opportunity you see in the agri sector for heat pumps, because of course it is used very much in buildings of any kind, but do you Do you think that there will be an expansion in the next years for agricultural systems?
Thank you, Thanos. I think that there is an opportunity. There are examples of heat pumps integrated in livestock buildings, like in UK or Netherlands. However, still it's not a well-known technology. Actually, heat pumps are widely used for domestic applications, but we think that the policies have to be completed in the direction of heat pumps integration also in livestock buildings. And I think that such dissemination activities like this help in this direction. So yes, I think that there are opportunities towards this goal.
Thank you.
Okay. So if no one wants to ask anything more?
Could I also make a question to Spiros from BRITE?
Yeah.
You have shown us the 3 questions that you want to solve, and I think that they're in the right direction. So do you have, from the demonstration that you have already, do you see a large impact on the crop, on the production of the crop, or it is affordable for the farmers, in your opinion?
It all depends on how you design the system, and the reason we actually do the demonstrations is to find the right balance between energy generation and light availability for the crops. So we try, for example, panels with different levels of transparency above the same crop in the same location, and then pick the right one for the specific situation. Let me share an example from a blueberry trial we are now conducting in the Netherlands, where we tested 6 different blueberry races under our modules, and 5 of the 6 actually performed better. They had higher yields under the modules than in the reference cultivation next to them outside of the modules. And we are evaluating the results together with agronomists, with experts. And the assumption right now that they have is that the higher yield under the modules was actually a result of the better crop protection against a very wet summer period just before the harvesting season. So we prove actually in practice that we can not only not negatively impact the crop yields, but actually improve help the farmer improve their agricultural practices.
Thank you.
Following Thanos' question, can I ask Spiros too? Have you identified an ideal farm size for BRITE's agrivoltaics to be a reliable investment, or it depends again? It might be a very big farm size or a very small.
It can range from small to quite large, actually to very large. But then I think as you grow or as you change the sizes, I think it also changes the business case and primarily who is able to invest in such a thing. When it is a smaller installation, then a healthy financially agricultural operation can self-invest, let's say, in this. When we're going on the megawatt scale, then you need, for example, a renewable energy project developer who will finance it, get the benefits from the electricity sales, for example, to the grid, and the farmer will gain with the free crop protection for his crops. So you have a mixed benefit for different stakeholders. So technically, it's possible in every different size, every different configuration, every different farm size, but the business models change as we change the sizes. That's the short question, the short answer.
Thank you very much, Spiros.
Okay, thank you. Well, we passed already 10 minutes, so I think we should finish this. Well, a special thank you to all the speakers, Leo, Apostolos, and Spiros. I wrote on the chat the website address and also the link to the subscriptions to the newsletter. So in case you want to receive more information about future events or what we are doing in the project, just subscribe to the newsletter.
We invite all of you to visit the platform and also to participate in the following workshops, both regional or online workshops. Thank you, all of you. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And
Should we
goodbye.
open our cameras and take a pic? Maybe.
Yeah, we did already one, but if other people put the camera on, that will be great. Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Homage.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thank you very
Bye.
much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.